to make that lean work for most of us. And I have read the lean concepts in the past, but I was not able to implement them myself. But this book has made a huge difference in that. So that's why I highly recommend anybody looking to start a product, looking to start a service, looking to start a company, or if you are just working on a program which is in part of a large organization, it doesn't matter. In a situation where look, there is some vague concept of product or service and a customer, you probably want to follow these principles given in this book. The primary objective of this book is to avoid wasting time, which is the most precious resource that everybody has. Uh, uh, it is also the most perishable. For some people, they may not find it precious, but it is. But it is perishable for everybody for sure. Money is important. A lot of money is wasted doing wrong things. Energy is important. If you work on some things which are not going anywhere, you are going to get frustrated. And the objective of this book is to not waste any energy on anything other than what is truly essential at the time. And this book also prevents you from thinking about unimportant things. And there are many things that entrepreneurs do which are not important, and they intuitively know it, but they sometimes get carried away. And hence, using the structure in this book will prevent from that happening. And one last thing I think this book will prevent is asking some random people about their opinion about your product and service. If they are not customer, their opinion does not matter. So don't ask anybody. And there is a very book called Mom Test. If you haven't read that, I'll just give you briefly. It says that if you ask your mom whatever you're building, what does she think about that? She's going to say it's great, and that's really the problem. The people who care about you are going to give you some nice answer. They're not going to tell you what is the reality, and reality is only what your customers think. If they're ready to pay, it's a good product. If they don't, then you do not have a product. It's as simple as that. Now, as far as the concepts in this book, there are many key concepts that are actually worth calling out. One of them is that he talks about customers don't care about your solution, they care about their problem. And this is actually a very profound thing made popular by Harvard Business School professor Theodore Levitt. He says that people don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill; they want a quarter-inch hole in the wall. This is actually very true, that if you think about it, people don't buy a refrigerator because it is a good refrigerator. They buy it because they want their food to kept cold. Um, this applies to anything and everything. It's not because it's a great TV. It's because it fits well in your lifestyle and provides you entertainment. It doesn't matter how good the computer is. If it is it going to solve the problems that you're looking for, then it's a good computer. Otherwise, it's not. So if you start thinking from what customers really need, then you will actually have better focus in building solutions that are aligned with the customer needs. He talks about MVP. It is kind of known, but it is worth calling out that MVP is that minimum viable product. It's the smallest solution that you can create to demonstrate the customer value. And this is actually a very good example that we can use, is that if you are building a product, and let's say you spend 3 months, 6 months building something, and the customer says, that's not what I want. The question you want to ask is that, was it possible for me to ask this question 3 months ago before even I started? And many times the answer is yes. It is possible to create some mock-up, screen mock-ups, and show it to the customer, say that, hey, what do you think about this? If you click on this button and you get this output, will you be happy about the outcome of this? Will you pay for a solution like this? This is actually a very viable option than building something and then figuring out that nobody's using your product. That's very heartbreaking. Another thing he brings up is that in early stage, make sure you handpick customers. And he talks about like 10. Let's say you handpick 10 customers and make sure that they get the best experience. And he argues that if you cannot deliver a good experience to 10 handpicked customers, what is the chance that you can deliver value to thousands of customers who are going to sign up online and they are going to get what they're looking for? It's extremely unlikely. And that's actually the point of this, that you want to do some things which are not scalable, but in early days, that is important. And this is something actually the founder of Y Combinator has calls it as doing non-scalable things. And this is very, very important in the early stage. Another concept he brings up is that team focus versus not role focus. If you're starting and you have, say, 3 or 4 people, one person focus on marketing, another on sales, one person product. If that's what you're doing, you're not doing it right. He says everybody should be focusing on traction. And all the activities that they do should be focused on getting more traction that you need at this point. There is also a concept of business model. He says business model is the product, not the idea. The idea, what you're thinking, is there. But if you do not have a business model that wraps around that idea is of no use and it will evaporate in thin air in no time. Engaging customers, I think it is given that you want to engage customers as early as possible and continuously engage through the life of the product. And one other thing he calls out is that customers will always have more choices. There always will be competition, and you don't want to worry about competition. What you want to worry about is speed of learning. If you learn faster than your competition, you are gonna be fine, and that is the key of every successful entrepreneurship. There are few mindsets he calls out in this book, and we'll go over that and then we'll stop today. First is that business model is the product. That's we talked about that. That idea wrapped around with a business model, that's your product. Idea is not the product. Second, love the problem, not the solution. This comes from that drill versus whole concept. You always want to focus on learning the problem. It is possible that the first solution you come up with is not a good solution and you want to dramatically change it. You might want to scrap the whole thing and start all over again. That's still okay, as long as you build a solution that actually solves the problem. Traction is the goal, and he talks about this significantly. He has given very good, interesting points on how to get to the traction that your organization needs. Right action, right time. This is actually a key concept, which says that at any given point of time, there are only few things that you should be focused on. And he gives some thumb rules to find out what is the key thing that at that time that you should be working on. And it's usually the risk mitigation strategy that kind of aligns very well with that. Next mindset is constraints are a gift. He says that if you have fewer people, fewer resources, fewer customers, fewer dollars, don't worry about it. That's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing, because all these constraints are going to help you focus on the most crucial thing. Because if you have a lot of money, there is a very high chance that you will waste it. He also talks about holding yourself externally accountable, as in use KPIs to tell whether you're doing well or not what you feel, whether you met the KPI for a given period or not. If you made that much progress as much as you wanted to, then you are doing fine. But don't just go with gut feeling. Another thing he talks about is that placing many small bets. You have 5 different channels of reaching customers. You don't know which one to do. That's fine. Place small bets on all 5 channels. Find out which one is working. Learn from it, and then find out which channels to drop and which one to invest more on. And then eventually, you will have maybe 1, 2, or 3 working channels, but they are giving exact results that you are expecting them to give. Make evidence-based decisions. This is actually a very important thing. There is no reason to make any decision based on your gut feeling. You have proof. By evidence, not by gut feeling. And the last mindset he calls out is that breakthrough requires unexpected outcomes. You will not do something amazing unless you find something unexpected. So, which is why there is that learning and customer interaction critical through the process. This is what the whole book is. It's going to solve a lot of problems that most entrepreneurs face. The one thought one idea that he mentioned that I thought it is worth mentioning. He says that if you're building a solution or a product or a service, that's like a key. How do you know the key will work until you look at the lock? So he says, spend a lot of time trying to study the lock. If you know how the lock looks, how does it work, what does it lock, when it needs to be unlocked, how it should be unlocked. If you understand all of this, then you know how to build the best key possible for this. This is like, can you write a prescription without inspecting patient? No. Same thing, then you need to learn your customer situation before you give them a solution. And this is actually key concept that this book calls out. And he says that traditionally people focus on build, demo, sell. And he says the real way to do it is demo, sell, build. And this rest of the book explains how to do that. That's all for today. If you have any questions, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I'll meet you in the next session.